I'll start charting out.
Okay, I just did. Good. So let me ask you guys this. When you've done assignments in the past, what were some of like the key parts of your assignment that you included or your papers that you did?
Miss the introduction,
Okay, introduction,
Miss the reference page.
reference page. Uh-huh. Anyone
And
else?
the content, miss. The
The
content page.
content. Okay.
Conclusion.
Cover page. Oh, conclusion. Uh-huh.
And text citation.
In-text citations. Good. And one more page. You guys are leaving out.
Is the reference page?
Well, we had reference page already, but yes, that's an important page.
The body. There's a table of contents.
We had
Miss the
table of content.
introduction. Someone said introduction before.
Yes, someone said introduction.
The
Your
body.
your
Cover page.
title page. Yes, your cover page or your title page. That's another important part, right? So I'm going to go through these parts that you all mentioned, but you all seem to have a fair knowledge of, the structure of your papers or your assignments when you submit it. Okay, let me go to slide. So go to the slide that says key components. Slide 3. Key components of an academic paper. As you guys mentioned, you have the introduction, right? Then of course you have your body and then the conclusion. That's the meat of your assignment or your paper. So what's the introduction? The introduction, depending on the length of the paper, the introduction could be anywhere from about 3 paragraphs to maybe half of a page or 3/4 of a page, right? In your introduction, what you want to do is start with some background information on the topic, right? Give us a general understanding of your topic. So whether you speak about it from a historical perspective, or maybe you talk about it, using data and statistics, however you want to approach it, ensure that you are giving the reader an adequate amount of knowledge about your topic, right? Then you have your thesis statement. So your thesis statement is part of your introduction, and it explicitly states what this assignment is about, what your paper will be about, right? So it's normally written like, this assignment will discuss the factors that, whatever, right? Or this paper will explore, this assignment will analyze or discuss, will debate, will seek to provide more information, however you want to structure your thesis statement. But you must have a thesis statement. And I'm telling you this because when I'm marking papers, I mark the introduction separately. And if you don't have the components in the introduction, then you'll lose marks, right? So your thesis statement should clearly say what this assignment will be about or what you will be doing. So when I read this sentence, I already know what to expect as I read on, right? You will then follow that with a brief, very brief outline of what you plan on discussing, right? So think of when they're teaching you to write an essay. You have the introduction, and then you generally list out your 3 main points, or you write your 3 main points that you'll discuss. For the paper, it's the same way, except you'll be discussing multiple ideas, right? Because I might ask you to do 2, 3 things in this assignment. So you want to outline generally the specific things that you'll be focusing on, right? For example, if you're looking at the education of children who are blind, you might want to explore the history of children who are, the education of children who are blind, or you would like to explore some relevant legislations, some teaching methods, some classroom accommodations that can be done, depending on the scope of your assignment, right? So you're outlining what you plan on discussing. Then you have the box. Keep your questions. When I'm finished, I will allow you guys to ask your questions, right? So you want to ensure that the body of the paper is being divided into the different sections with appropriate headings, right? Again, if you're asked to maybe outline the historical development of the education of children who are blind, and you will, let's say you want to separate it into different periods of time. You want to ensure that you're creating headings and subheadings, and that helps to organize your paper, right? So it isn't confusing. Now, the body of your paper carries the weight of your assignment, because I'm looking to see how much you are thinking about the topic, how much you are going out and doing the research about the topic, right? And I'll talk about ChatGPT in a few, but the body of your paper tells me a lot about you, right? It tells me how much you understand the content, how much you understand what you're reading, and how well you're able to manipulate the information and apply it to your assignment, and how well you can represent the information that you're reading, right? So that's the body of the paper. Then you have the conclusion. So this is standard. As with all conclusions, you are summarizing or restating the main points discussed in your paper. You are not introducing any new idea or any new topics in your conclusion, right? And you want to leave the reader with maybe a thought or a quote that you think best summarizes or captures what you discussed in your paper. Good. Now, in the actual approach of your assignments, you should strive to be paraphrasing, right? So paraphrasing is where you read something or you read multiple pieces of information and you put it over into your own words. If you copy and paste information, I will know, right? Because you have to remember, this is the area where I have the most experience, this course, this area that I'm teaching, right? I have done all the reading and all the research you could think about. And there is nothing that you could bring to me that I may not have read before, right? So when you are accessing information, you want to ensure that you're accessing good information, good quality information, and that when you are putting these ideas over into your paper, that you're paraphrasing, right? So think of paraphrasing like this. When you go and teach in front of a class, right? You might, give the students notes, but then you spend a lot of time explaining and discussing, using examples and all of these things. You're explaining these concepts. You might have to even break it down for the student, simplify the language for the student. That is what I want you to do in these assignments. I want to see your explanations and your discussions coming through. I want to see your own examples being used, right? So while you're doing the research to guide your assignment, I want to see you discussing these concepts in your paper, right? And then we have the formatting of your assignments. Now, as you know, the very first page is your title page. So you want to ensure that you have the college name, right? Like it's at the top. Then you have the name of the course. And normally at the bottom, I know you would put like your name, your lecturer's name, the date of submission, and so on. So you stick with that structure, right? Except when you're writing your lecturer's name, you don't use sir, right? That's not a common practice in academic papers. You use Mr. or any other appropriate title. Sir is not a title. Sir is a title for like those people who have been knighted by the queen or the king, right? That's the only time we like officially use sir. So if you're putting Ganesh's name, for example, it would be Mr. Ganesh Singh, right? Here, you will go through this on your own time, some other formatting that you have to do, such as ensuring that you have page numbers and the margin is 1 inch on all sides. And you are using Times New Roman 12. That's the font style and the font size. And you're also using double space. So that's 2.0 spacing in your assignment, right? Good. It mentions there about abstract. You don't need to do that. That's for mostly research papers. And then we come to the biggest one of all, which is your references. Now, when you are compiling your reference page, I have seen, because I've marked a lot of your assignments. I don't know if you guys know, but I've marked a lot of your assignments from social construction of disability. And I've also marked a lot of assignments from the previous batch, right? A very common belief is that when we do the reference page, all we do is we paste a URL on the reference page. That is not how we do it at all. Now, I'll spend time going through this, helping you to format your reference page, helping you to do your in-text citations, because marks will be specifically for your references. So if it's done incorrect, you're not given any mark for it. And it might sound harsh because you might say, well, you know, if I have it, but it's done wrong, at least I could get half a mark. But I'm doing this because when you move on to other institutions, this is like a non-negotiable aspect of academic writing, plagiarism and referencing, right? So at least you can start practicing now so that when you move on to other institutions, you know, it's not a shock. It's not a shock to you when you have to do all of these things, right? Now, so let's talk about the in-text citation. The in-text citation is where you see the author's name followed by the year of publication of the article, right? So you might see something like, let's say, for example, Smith 2005 in parentheses, right? Now, if you are using author's name in the body and the introduction of your assignment, you must reflect that work on your reference page. So you cannot put something in your reference page that you did not cite in your assignment, right? Because the first thing that lecturers would do is look for all the names that you listed in your assignment for the in-text citation. So let's say you have like Smith, Lewis, and Johnson. Let's say you cite those three names throughout your assignment. When I go to the reference page at the bottom, I must see those three works represented there. If you give me more than those names, then I would expect that you have it in your assignment. Or if you have it in your assignment, I would expect to see it in your on your reference page, right? Good. So how do we do citations? Well, citations, first of all, citations are done because no idea is a new idea. Everything that we know, we gain that knowledge from somewhere. And in academia, plagiarism is seen as like a crime, right? Because imagine you spend years of your life working on something, working on a brand new idea that no one has thought of before, even like an invention, for example, something totally new. You put in years of your life, years of money and effort and all of these things, and your intellectual abilities into this thing. And then someone just comes along and use your ideas and don't even credit you. Right? That's how academics feel about their work. So they are very, very, very serious about crediting authors, right? So for example, I could say the sky is blue. That's not a new idea. Somebody had to write about it before I even said it. In fact, you might have hundreds of people who already wrote about the fact that the sky is blue and why it's blue. So if I'm going to make a statement like the sky is blue, then I will have to credit a few authors, right? Because they were the ones who said it and I got the idea from them. So if I'm going to say the sky is blue, then after I make that statement, I will put in parentheses the authors whose work I've read in order to make that statement. Right? So that's how you credit the author. So you are using the AP just now. Just now, I'll give you guys a chance to talk and ask a question. So for your assignments, you want to be using APA 7th edition. That's the American Psychological Association 7th edition. So you're not using MLA or Chicago or Harvard referencing style. You're using APA 7th edition. And the resources that I've shared with you guys, one is for the Purdue University, and on their website, they have all the referencing requirements. They list it out, they explain it, they give you examples, they show you how to do it. So utilize that resource, right? I do not expect that you will give me a reference page where you just copy the URL and paste it in. Or put something like information access from Moodle. That is not a reference, right? So just ensure that you utilize the resource. Please, I am begging you guys to access the resource, learn how to do your references so that you could put together a good paper. Now, if you are not sure about if you're doing it correctly, please feel free to reach out to me. I have no issue checking over your references just to make sure that you have it correctly. If you have never done this before in this way, it can be very taxing to do because like I had to go through it, right? Like I had to learn how to do it. So I know how it could be. So feel free to reach out. I'll give you guys my email. Email me, just to say, well, can you look at these just to make sure that it's correct and what's not? I have no issue doing that, right? Questions quickly?
Miss, Miss, I actually had a laugh at when you say the sky is blue because Miss, actually, if I look at the sky, I can see it's blue. So how really could you believe that somebody is telling you that when you can confirm it with your own eyes?
All right. So, okay. So this is I'll try my best to answer this question in a way that would explain what I meant, right? Good. The concept of blue was something that was taught to us. We were not born with the word blue associated with the color that we see when we look at that color, right? It's what you call a social construct. So at some point in time, somebody came up with the word blue and they said that, well, this color, we'll call it blue. You understand? And in science, normally in science, when you make a hypothesis, you set out to either prove or disprove the hypothesis. So even though you might be seeing that right? You're looking at the sky and you're saying that, yes, I could see this particular color. Unless you have hard evidence to prove it, it's usually not valid. And that's just how we deal with facts, right? So you being able to confirm something through your senses is often not a reliable form of getting information, right? That's why they have to do experiments to either confirm or disprove certain theories or hypotheses. Because, for example, you might see that the sky is blue, but then when somebody else look at it, it looks like a different color. I mean, I'm sure you guys have experienced something where you see one thing and like somebody else sees something totally different. And there's a whole argument about who heard the right thing or who see the right thing. Right?
Eclipse.
Exactly. So that idea that you have came from somewhere. And that's why we have to credit those who actually put in the work of conducting the experiments and all the research in order to come up with that, right? Like if you look at, let's say, social problems in society, right? Let's look at, I don't know, domestic violence or gender-based violence, for example. All of the ideas that we have about it came from somewhere, right? Causes, consequences, solutions. It came from somewhere. And it came from people who had to put in the work to study the phenomenon and to conduct research, and this is in sociology, conduct research to gather data on why people are doing this, why do people engage in it, what are some of the factors, what are the, like the risk factors, for example, what are the consequences, what are the solutions, and so on. Because saying that one person is experiencing something is not enough to make it a fact, right? So that's why you have researchers to do research, whether it's in physical and natural science or it's in social sciences. Research is always being done because you have to have an established way of justifying your statements, right? Another typical example would be, let's say you're working with a student. Time after time, the student is performing poorly on their test, right? They're not passing. You try doing oral presentation for see if they can help them, they're failing. You try doing other things, they're just not passing. The parent comes in. I said, no, I know my child know this thing. My child when I get home, my child this, da, 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 da.
Excuse me.
Go ahead. Quickly.
This Miss Harris here. I have blackout, so my batteries and everything is about to die. So I'm just letting you know that I'm about to exit class and I want to apologize.
No, you shouldn't apologize. GPL should be apologizing. I'll send the recording, right? I'll send the recording, so don't worry. Good.
Thank you,
So,
Miss.
who would you be more likely to believe? The hard facts that you have in front of you, that numbers that are showing you proof, or one parent's opinions about their child's performance, right? So again, if you were to go to the head teacher and say, look, this child is not performing well, and you have actual hard data to back that up. So they've consistently been underperforming in all of these exams and tests and assessments. So this is why I said that the child is performing poorly or the child is failing, because I have this hard evidence to back up what I'm saying, right? So translate that to your assignments. When you're saying or when you're making a point, you have to have the data from other works to back up what you're saying, right? Any other questions before I move on to showing you a tool that you could use to access some like journal articles and academic resource?
Hi, Miss. Yes. What if we don't have APA 7th edition?
I don't understand.
Like for some computers, they have the 5th edition, APA 5th edition. So can we use that still?
No. Now,
Okay.
there are some citations generators online, right? Where you can go and input your information, APA 7th edition, and it's going to generate your citation for you, right? You can use those, or you can manually do it, right? You can manually put together your reference. So it means then that you'll have to get your author's name, the year of publication, the title, the name of the journal, the edition, the issue, the page numbers, and you put everything together, right? And you do your references.
Okay, miss, thank you.
Hold on, let me get this. How many of you use Google Scholar?
Hi.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I do, miss.
Good. I sent the link to you. Alana, please stop your screen sharing. Let me share my screen to show you how I access Google Scholar. Good. Okay, so this is the last thing I'll do before I end this evening, right? I have like a million tabs open on my computer. Okay. So you can go on your browser, type in Google Scholarly Articles, and the very first option that comes up, you click on that. And this is what you have here, right? Now you can come to the search bar here. You guys are seeing on my screen, right?
Yes, miss.
Yes,
Good.
miss.
And I could type in something like strategies for good. Search. Good. So now I can go through here. Here, there is one there. Right? These are all academic papers. Now I can click at the top here where it says PDF. I can click it and I have access to this PDF, right? If I want, I can download it. Good. And I've downloaded this, hold on, Adobe. Good. Good. Now there is a cite button here. I'm not sure if you guys could see it. But when I click it, it gives me the citation. You have MLA, APA, and I can copy this. So highlight it. And then I copy it. Just double check that you're muted. Check your microphones, please. Good. So I copy it, right? And let me show you now. I can paste it here. So this is how I would normally start compiling my references. Every article I access, right? And of course, you want to double check it. When you're finished compiling all your references, you want to double check it to make sure that it's in line with the 7th edition, right? There are not a lot of changes, to be honest, to the 7th edition from the 6th edition, but you just want to make sure. And this is how you could put together your reference page, right? Because this is how you do your references. Good. So save that link I sent to you. Good. So save that link that I sent to you. I think I also sent it in a document so you could have access to it to be able to find credible pieces of work, credible pieces of article. Now, finally, let me close out by saying this. If you are going on ChatGPT or any other AI model, just remember that while you are doing that, there are 20 other students in the class who are doing that. So everybody's paper looks the same. You might change up one or two words, one or two sentences, but the structure of your paper is the same. The ideas in the paper are the same. Please don't do that, right? Because even though I might be lenient and not give you 0, I'll be very, very harsh in marking your people, right? So previous students have gotten 6 out of 20 and 7 out of 20, which affected their overall grade, all because they just went on ChatGPT, copy everything and paste it in a document and give it to me. With that being said, I have used ChatGPT a lot in the sense that I've been using ChatGPT before ChatGPT became popular, right? So I've played around with it, explored a lot of different prompts, all of these things. So I'm very accustomed to knowing how ChatGPT generates text, right? So if you bring it to me, I could just read a paragraph and I would say, okay, yeah, this looks like AI generated, right? So please, I'm asking you, be authentic. Now listen to this. I would rather you have poor spelling, poor subject and verb agreement, poor grammar, but have genuine work over bringing something from generated by AI that is, has perfect language structure and all of that. I would give you more marks on the auditing because I would prefer to read something where I see how your mind works rather than just, you giving me something that doesn't tell me anything about how you view the topic or how you think about the topic. Right? So consider that when you move into doing your assignments, right? Okay. Any final questions before I close off?
Excuse me, miss.
Go ahead.
I have been listening to you very thoroughly, and I got some background information I got some background information about you from other persons that passed through you, and they said that you really work very hard when it's necessary. Now, with that said, I'm gonna be quite honest with you. We're in semester 3, and um. I don't want to play around my grades, to be honest, right? Since most of us don't have your course on our platform, is it possible that this week, as in tonight's class, could be the introduction, and we can start submitting things to you possibly next week when the platform is updated and it has all the necessary courses, miss? Because to be honest,
Okay.
I'm really uncomfortable not having your course on the platform and already having to submit something and we're not even registered for your courses yet.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes.
Do you understand?
So, yes, I understand, but your concern is with the assumption that the discussion forum has to do with the actual content of the course when it doesn't, right? So the discussion forum is where what I did was I placed 2 links for you guys to read. And it's just a blog, right? Very simple, straightforward blog that you read and then you just give your thoughts on the blog. It has nothing to do with the actual handouts or presentation of the course, but it's a good way of kind of familiarizing yourself with blindness as a disability and some of the myths that surround blindness. Because when you come into the course and we actually start doing the content, I want to make sure that we all are thinking about blindness in the same way and not still harbor certain misconceptions that we have, right? Now, secondly, I would not say that I mark harsh. I would say that I mark fair, right? Because you may not have heard from the other batch or the other students, but for their last assessment, I actually switched and gave them a quiz because they asked me, they said, Miss, we're tired, we have dead, we ain't able to do this big assignment. Can you give us a quiz? I said, okay, let's work with the quiz. What I had them do was I said, okay, since you said that my quiz is difficult, I want you to compile a document with some sample questions that you would like to see on the test. And I looked at those questions and then I created my own questions, very similar in terms of how difficult or easy it was based on what the students said. And everybody passed, like everybody. That quiz saved a lot of people from failing the course, right? Because they would have done, very mediocre AI generated assignments and given it to me. And so what I will say is I do not intentionally try to be harsh. That is not my goal and it doesn't benefit me in any way. But I am fair because at the end of the day, if you go on ChatGPT, for example, and bring an assignment to me, I cannot mark it the same way that I would somebody who actually went in and genuinely did the work and put in the effort. It would be unfair to them, right? So, and then next thing you know, when you guys compare things, they would feel like, oh, well, it's best I don't put in the effort because Miss just giving out free marks to people, right? So that's why I try to be very fair in how I mark, right? So I don't want you to think that I somehow set out to mark hard or I try to be like a pain to you guys because that's not my goal, right? So I will still send the Microsoft Forms because as I said, it's not directly linked or dependent upon whether or not you read the course content or have access to it, right? It's something separate. All right, but thanks for that comment. Any other question or concerns before we wrap up? Okay, if there are no other questions, you guys
Miss,
can go ahead and leave. Go ahead.
Miss, there's no other question, Miss, but I think you as a second lecturer would have enlightened us on APA format or standard. And I don't feel you are marking hard, Miss. You made it clear. I think where Jack deserve his jacket. I speak fairly, Miss. You actually outline everything here, Miss. I can see clearly that you haven't hide nothing or keep anything to yourself back. You give us everything, and you go out of the way to give us the privilege of we sending we thing to you for double check, and which we never had that since we doing this associate degree. And I think at this level, hey, we all should wake up. Like I'm just saying, like on behalf of my colleagues, we should wake up and take this seriously because going to university, we wouldn't be getting at this level, hey. Because what them set out there will be more higher, and what they say is loud. They're not gonna be like so approachable like you. So I'm just saying that everybody should just do whatever necessary and don't put fear in front. Let me just go with whatever we know we have, the guidance we have.
All right. Thank you for your perspective on it. And again, everyone, like, as I would always say, like, I am not, like, I don't come to this course thinking I'm lecturing your student. Like, I don't even tell people that I do this part-time. Right? So honestly, if you guys could leave this course with the knowledge that I would love you to have about this course and develop the passion for working with children who are blind, like, I would have achieved my goal, right? So don't be put off by the course content or anything like that, or even the assignments. Just do your thing and we'll get through this. And you guys will get to finish and finally be done with CPC. Right? All right. So yeah, if there are no other questions or anything, oh, let me give you my email quickly. Share it with other persons who already left. Right? Let me share it quickly. Email me. Good. Email me if you're unable, if you're struggling, email me, please. I'm asking you to reach out to me, right? To let me know that, you may not be able to finish an assignment on time, things like that. Just reach out to me. And we'll definitely work out something for you to be able to complete your assessments, right? Good. All right. Good night, everybody. Thank you guys so much again for being up this late. And we will meet next week at 6 p.m. Right?
Good night, Miss. Thank you too. We appreciate
Miss.
it.
All right. Good
Bye.
night, everyone. Good night.
Good night. Thank you, Miss.